Were these black films snubbed from this year's Oscars? I'm going to discuss that and more right now. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Auziahtv and I'm a storyteller. We're gonna get through this one pretty quickly. There are two black films who, in my opinion, were completely snubbed from this year's Oscars. The first being The Woman King, starring Viola Davis, Thuso Mbedu and Lashana Lynch. The second being Till, starring Danielle Deadwyler and Whoopi Goldberg. But before I get deep into my opinion, I wanna address two comments that I saw in my community tab under the post where I talk about doing this video. So I said, were these black actresses snubbed by the Oscars? What's your opinion? See my take this Monday. And the first comment says, the short answer is no. In my honest opinion, nominating us for the sake of diversity is more problematic than not nominating us at all. There were other performances by black people this award season that were way better than these two that didn't even get a look. To your first point, I agree. I don't think anyone is saying we should just hand out Oscars to black entertainers because they're black. I want to be fair, but at face value, this comment is kind of disrespectful to the hardworking and extremely talented black actors and actresses, both noticed and unnoticed. I mean, y'all let me know in the comments, because I can't think of one black person who received an Oscar and I walked away feeling like, oh, that was only for the sake of diversity, as if to say that that person hadn't earned the right to be nominated. And as far as there being better performances this season that I missed, please tell me. I want to know. I asked, but I never got a response. The second comment says, let's wake up. Oscars is a business, just as the movies. With all due respect, we as African Americans should not be looking for validation from such awards. Your question, respectfully, is non and void, which I think they mean null and void, and only serves to keep us seeking validation, respectfully speaking. This is definitely not the first time I've heard this perspective. Of course, we had the Oscars So White movement of 2015. Should black storytellers care about the Oscars when we are overwhelmingly unrepresented? And if we do care, does it mean that we're seeking white validation? For me, the answer is not so cut and dry. On one hand, I think we as a culture definitely don't value a BET award or an NAACP award as high as we should, which is kind of sad because those awards were literally made to honor people of color. And I also see how relying on basically a white institution to adequately evaluate our stories doesn't really make sense. But I don't agree with the assumption that to care about the Oscars is to care about the white gaze. Everybody who cares about their career wants to be acknowledged under the parameters that that career has set. There are awards for teachers, doctors, lawyers. If a black doctor cared about winning a Lasker Award, which for those who don't know, honors physicians who've made outstanding advancements in the medical field, you wouldn't say he or she wanted it for white validation, because that wouldn't make sense. I'm a doctor that's done amazing things within my field, and just like others, I should be recognized, whether the field is predominantly white or not. Being an actor or actress in Hollywood is a different career. It's more public, but the intentionality is the same. It's still a career. And yes, it is very white. But so is America. Saying that black people shouldn't care about the Oscars because of white validation is like saying that black people shouldn't go to college because of white validation. I became an attorney and I couldn't have done that without working within the parameters that my career demands. That meant going to college, taking the LSAT, going to law school, passing the bar exam. 7 years of academia, and I only had 2 black professors. That means that white people played an inherent part of me becoming a lawyer, not by choice. It is what it is. I think that people forget that winning an Oscar is not just about the award, the opportunities that come after that, the better roles, the money. Black entertainers deserve all of that as well. Not to mention that every time we win, we make it just a little bit easier for the next person of color to get what they deserve. Just like some of the young black girls that I meet, and they see that I'm an attorney, my friends are attorneys, and now they know they can do it too. All right, that's my take on that. Y'all let me know what what you think in the comments. So it's just kind of baffling to me that The Woman King didn't receive any nominations. I thought the cinematography was outstanding, as well as the costume design. Designer Gersha Phillips really embodied the Dahomey tribe. It was very refreshing to see all the detail, especially when it came to the authentic hairstyles. I think Viola and Tuso did an amazing job in their respective roles. My one criticism of Viola is that I didn't always believe the accent. Tuso is native to South Africa, so that part was much easier for her. But for me, the energy of the film came from Lashana Lynch. She was so magnetic. And that's how you know when an actor is really doing their job, because she had such a small role, but she did so much with it. For none of these ladies to be acknowledged by the Academy, I don't know, it just felt like they had met their diversity quota with Wakanda Forever. Which, by the way, the fact that Angela Bassett has never received an Oscar is insane. And then, of course, we had a lot of people saying that The Woman King shouldn't have been nominated for anything because it's historically inaccurate. So we care about accuracy now. But when Titanic, Braveheart, Gladiator, The King's Speech was nominated, all full of historical inaccuracies, it was cool. The Woman King snub already had me upset, and then the press released a statement from Chinonye Chukwu, the director of Till. In response to not receiving any nominations for Till, she writes, "We live in a world and work in industries that are so aggressively committed to upholding whiteness and perpetuating unabashed misogyny towards Black women. And yet I am forever in gratitude for the greatest lesson of my life. Regardless of any challenges or obstacles, I will always have the power to cultivate my own joy, and it is this joy that will continue to be one of my greatest forms of resistance." So I was not going to watch Till on purpose. I wanted to protect my peace in that regard. So I had made a promise to myself a couple of years ago after I watched a series on Amazon Prime called Them. Tells the story of a Black family that moves into a white suburb in the 60s, I believe. That entire show was just trauma porn. I hated that series so much. There was a scene where rape and the murder of a Black baby, it felt so outrageous and disgusting. And not that I expect Till to be that way, but I told myself I'm no longer going to consume Black stories that I think will make me depressed. I'm already a high functioning depressed person. Being a woman, infertile, you add being Black on top of all of that. No. It's the same reason why I haven't seen Emancipation yet. I'm done with slavery movies. I'm just not interested. And I felt like I was all too familiar with the story of Emmett Till that I didn't need to see this movie. I had watched The Murder of Emmett Till, the documentary, when I was a child, which actually features his mother, Mamie Till, telling her story. I had already seen his body. And for years, since I've known about the story, I've been outraged by the fact that Carolyn Bryant is still alive and she hasn't been arrested for her part in his murder. But after I read this statement and I read some critics' views specifically about Danielle Deadwyler, who plays Mamie Till in the film, I thought, okay, I'm gonna watch it and see what all the fuss is about. This film, in my opinion, is the most important film that has been released in the last decade. I know that the people who need to see it will not watch it. The performance of Danielle, I hope I'm saying her name right, Danielle Deadwyler as Mamie Till was haunting. And I have speculations why this film didn't get recognized by the Oscars. I think that the Academy did not want the responsibility of bringing to light a story that never should have died. Danielle Deadwyler not being nominated for Best Actress, that was intentional. That was 100% intentional. If you go and watch The Murder of Emmett Till, the documentary, you will see how much Danielle studied Mamie Till. Her characterization of her is so spot on. And it's not just her role. The movie itself, down to the costume design and especially the way they handle Emmett Till's body. I'm not gonna show them here because I want you to go watch it. It was so tasteful, but so accurate. for it to go unacknowledged. I think that the Oscars didn't want to be responsible for a nationwide upset. When a film wins Best Picture of the Year, or when an actress or actor wins for leading role, that film becomes something. It becomes a classic. It becomes a timepiece of the culture, because people who haven't seen it will go see it, and then those people will start asking questions. And when you get the right people asking questions, everything changes. You know, one of the things that America has always done right, when we find out that someone is living in this country that had anything to do with the Holocaust, we will exhaust every effort to make sure that person is held responsible for their actions. And it don't matter what ailments they have, how old they are, we will extradite them back to Germany or wherever they need to be so that they can be held accountable. Today, right now, there is a woman named Carolyn Bryant. She looks like an old white grandmother, very sweet woman. This woman is a domestic terrorist, and she's responsible for the death of a 14-year-old boy. And the crazy thing is, we know everything about her. We know where she lives. We know where her family members are. If we wanted to, if this government gave a damn, we could go arrest her right now. But there is just not enough public outrage to make that happen. Till would make that happen. I don't think the Academy has an interest in being seen as a political institution. I think they decided very early on that we are not going to touch Till with a 90-foot pole. So Jimmy Kimmel, who was the host of the Oscars, I saw that he did shout out Till. This is what I'm going to say about that. If it was his decision, if that's something that he did off the cuff, you know, of his own volition, that's pretty dope. However, if it was already a part of the script, I'm gonna conclude that it was the Academy's way of acknowledging the movie without acknowledging the movie. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. So I just released the first episode of my newest series, Real Talk. I interviewed several husbands from different walks of life. We had a beautiful conversation. Next week will be the wives edition. Please go check that out. I have some episodes of Black Owned coming soon. If you haven't already, please go check out some of my vlogs. And of course, if you haven't seen my hilarious series, Love and War, the trivia game show for couples, please go check that out. You can find all of these series on my channel. All you have to do is click on playlists and they are all organized for you. If there is nothing else, I will see you next Sunday. Be blessed.